Right now, the next steps for a group of Fitchburg parents after an attempt to change school districts was denied.
And a local school board delays a decision to increase its class sizes, but it's what happened at the meeting that has many confused.
Plus, newly released video shows an escape from the Rock County jail, what happened and how it led to the department making upgrades.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Some residents in Fitchburg are trying to figure out their next move after their request to change school districts was denied.
Amy Reed joins us now to explain why they wanted to leave in the first place. Amy?
This group of parents in the Swan Creek neighborhood in Fitchburg is trying to change their school district from Madison to Oregon. They got all the necessary signatures, but on Monday, both school boards voted it down, and now they aren't sure where to go from here.
We kind of have a feeling of both, and we both agree that we like the feel of Oregon better.
Tori Kirsten has always been a fan of Oregon schools. It's part of the reason she used open enrollment to send her son there. That, and she says it just makes sense.
We're surrounded by Oregon here in this area. There's a new school going up 2 miles away for Oregon, and it's what makes sense.
If you look at a map, you can see their little neighborhood is surrounded by the Oregon School District. And just a couple miles from her house, Oregon is building a brand new elementary school set to open next year.
The frustration of looking out my front porch and seeing a school 2 miles away that we don't get to have access to.
So her and some of her neighbors filed a petition to pull the Swan Creek neighborhood out of Madison and into Oregon. And Monday, both school boards took it up, hearing from people who both supported and did not support the move.
But I don't think that this petition reflects the majority of the residents, and I request that you reject this petition.
In the end, both school boards rejected it, not because of the response, but because this 2002 agreement between the districts forced the decision for them. Back then, Madison and Oregon swapped pieces of land for mutual benefit, and at the time, no students were affected. It even says so in the agreement. Since then, parents in Swan Creek have tried 3 times to get them to change it, each time being denied, all because of this document. Parents could appeal, but that would mean getting signatures around the neighborhood again, and all by mid-March.
That's not very much time to do all the work that's going to be needed to be done. If we had 2 months, I don't think there'd be a question.
Right now, the neighborhood petitioners don't know what they'll do, but they hope the school boards will eventually reconsider. And if they don't, Tori said this issue isn't over.
It's probably going to happen again. And at some point, I really hope an appeal happens, whether I'm dealing with the school districts at that point or not.
Tori says she understands that there are parents in the neighborhood who want to stay in Madison, and she gets that. She doesn't want her situation happening to someone else, but she thinks both districts could work something out that could work for everyone.
Amy Reed reporting tonight. Amy, thank you.
A developing story tonight. A formal complaint has been submitted to the WIAA after an apparent incident involving former Packers head coach Mike McCarthy. It happened after a high school basketball game last night between Pulaski and Green Bay Notre Dame Academy. McCarthy's stepson plays for Green Bay Notre Dame, which lost by 1 point. You see McCarthy here approach a referee after the game, quickly being turned away. The WIAA tells WLUK-TV in Green Bay that a complaint has been filed, but the extent of that complaint is confidential.
This winter will officially go down as an above-average snow season for Madison. Last night's snow put us over the threshold. The city has now recorded 51.5 inches of snow over the course of the season. That is about a half an inch higher than our typical seasonal snowfall. Let's go to Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti now with our first alert forecast. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Cheryl. It would be nice to say that we're done with the snow for this season, but we still have March to go, and that's usually our second snowiest month on average, so we'll have to see how that all works out. In the short term, the snow that we had this morning along with the freezing drizzle has moved eastward into Michigan. Skies have actually cleared over much of Wisconsin, so things are pretty quiet right now. But snow is on the way for Friday afternoon into Friday night, probably about 1 to 3 inches over much of southern Wisconsin, a little bit more back toward the northwest over toward the La Crosse area, maybe as much as 4 or 5 inches in a few spots. And then we have alert days in the forecast for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, not for snow, but for bitterly cold temperatures with low temperatures between 5 and 10 below zero. Wind chills in the morning as cold as 25 to 30 below zero, maybe even colder in a few spots, and high temperatures only in the single digits to the middle teens, and wind chills staying below zero during the day. Today, high temperatures didn't hit the 20-degree mark, even though our average high is 35. 19 was the best we could do, and right now we're down to 8 degrees here in Madison. By tomorrow morning, temperatures will be down to around 0, but skies will turn mostly cloudy tomorrow. There could even be a few flurries of snow in the afternoon. Our high temperature topping out at 22. That is your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. A man in northeastern Wisconsin was killed this afternoon after he was hit by a city snow removal truck. This is in Oconto. Officials say the 70-year-old victim was walking along the street when he was hit from behind by the front end loader. A blood alcohol test taken by the driver after the incident came back negative. State police are handling the investigation since a city employee is involved. We are learning new details about a standoff overnight on the west side of Madison. Police were first called by the 45-year-old man involved around 11:10 last night. And they say he was worried about people who were out to get him. Well, when officers responded to the area, that man ran away and broke a window to get into Prairie Park Senior Apartments on Schrader Road. The man briefly choked a 38-year-old woman who was an employee of the facility before she got away and barricaded herself in a bathroom. He was armed with a knife and was suggesting suicidal statements. Police negotiated with him for almost 4 hours when the man was eventually taken into custody without any further incident.
Today we're getting a first-hand look at video of a man's escape from the Rock County Jail last fall. Quantrell Schwartzlow was arrested back in October for child pornography and sexual assault. When deputies brought him into the interview room, you'll see in the video here, he jumps head first out of a window through the screen, a 12-foot drop to the ground below. He was then on the run for hours before police found him at a friend's house in Janesville. Captain Todd Christensen says today those rooms have new reinforced screens.
The security screens now are stainless steel. They allow air to flow through, and they are securely bolted to the building. They're not just inside the frame of the actual window. They're actually secured with some pretty solid bolts.
And he says those new screens will hopefully prevent something like that from happening again.
Governor Tony Evers is expected to propose delaying the closure of the state's troubled juvenile prison and increasing the age for charging juveniles as adults from 17 to 18. The governor's juvenile justice plans will be included in his state budget proposal that will be released tomorrow. Evers campaigned on raising the age for charging juveniles. Wisconsin is one of only 6 states that treat 17-year-olds as adults. The Lincoln Hills Juvenile Prison is currently slated to close by 2021. A Janesville elementary school teacher is facing charges of 4th offense OWI. Police arrested 50-year-old Dennis Brunner on Saturday after being found passed out in the driver's seat of his car. The car was in his driveway and still running. The Janesville School District placed him on leave yesterday. Despite some pushback from parents and teachers these past few weeks, the Iowa Grant School Board voted to increase class sizes.
But legal counsel said the decision made at the meeting tonight was not valid, and it actually, they say, resulted in a stalemate decision. Our Jamie Perez joins us in studio to explain what exactly happened tonight. Jamie.
Yeah, really confusing situation. So despite the school board and the superintendent going on record saying that the motion passed to increase class sizes, the district's legal counsel called us about an hour ago saying that decision was not valid and is a stalemate.
So that's 3-3 vote. With the vote of yes, the motion passes.
And as you just heard, the board voted 3-3 to increase class sizes, then passed that motion. That confused a lot of people in the room as there was no majority vote either way. The decision they came up with also had some confused. The board voted to have a maximum of 16 students per kindergarten class, 17 students maximum for 1st through 3rd grades, and for 4th through 8th grade, a maximum of 18 students plus the grade level. Even though the board passed that decision, when we asked the superintendent to clarify for our report, she seemed to have some questions as well. Can you clarify for me what they passed?
Okay, I will try.
So were there minimums then introduced for that final?
I need to clarify that a little bit further. I do think that there are minimums. I'm not as clear as far as what those are.
And parents and teachers left that meeting emotional based on their understanding that the motion to increase class sizes had passed. But now that the district's legal counsel has clarified that that was not a valid vote, there will be another meeting to come.
The story we'll continue to follow and get some answers for. Jamie Perez, thank you. A day of high drama on Capitol Hill where President Trump's former personal attorney delivered public testimony before lawmakers.
Michael Cohen turned on his former boss, saying he regrets the day he first went to work for Donald Trump.
I am ashamed because I know what Mr. Trump is. He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat.
Testifying under oath, Cohen said President Trump reimbursed him for payments to cover up an affair with a porn star. He said during the presidential campaign, Trump knew ahead of time about WikiLeaks releasing damaging emails about Hillary Clinton, and he alleged Mr. Trump knew of and directed plans for a Trump Tower in Moscow throughout his 2016 campaign and lied about it. However, complicating his testimony, Cohen has pleaded guilty to lying to Congress in the past, which brought attacks from the right.
You're about to go to prison for lying. How can we believe anything you say?
Liar, liar, pants on fire. No one should ever listen to you and give you credibility.
Cohen will testify again tomorrow, but in a closed session. He will report to prison in May to serve a 3-year sentence.
President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un reaffirmed their new bond today. The two are preparing for a formal sit-down for talks on Thursday. The leaders are expected to sign a joint agreement at a ceremony as their summit in Hanoi, Vietnam begins to wind down. American officials hope the allure of sanctions relief and a new role in Asia's economy will convince Kim to eventually give up his nuclear weapons. A group of 52 Wisconsin veterans are also in Vietnam. For them, a return trip for the first time since serving their country there more than 40 years ago. Most who served in Vietnam have never been back. Some have no interest. For others, returning is a crucial part of the healing process. Marine Sergeant Wayne Perrette served 3 tours.
I was born and raised on a farm. I never had anybody shoot at me until I got here, when I got to Vietnam.
What the hell does that do to a 19-year-old kid?
A 19-year-old kid shouldn't have been here. Back then, fighting a war. What do I know about war? Back then at 19.
Wayne says he still has nightmares as vivid as they were when he first left Vietnam and hopes this trip will help ease those nightmares.
President Trump's border wall prototypes along the border in San Diego are coming down. A Customs and Border Protection official says there isn't a purpose or use for them. The removal process of the 8 prototypes began yesterday. They were built in April 2017 and were tested and evaluated in October. Their removal will make space for a secondary border fence. Still ahead tonight, the State Department of Justice releasing the latest statistics on domestic violence in Wisconsin.
Plus, Sully the dog starts his new job today, his life, after the passing of President George H.W. Bush. That's next. The Wisconsin Department of Justice released updated 2017 domestic violence statistics today.
The number of incidents reported has hovered around the same number for the past few years. In 2016, there were more than 28,800 incidents statewide, and in 2017, there were over 29,800. According to Domestic Abuse Intervention Services, they've actually experienced an increase in calls.
Nationally, less than 1/4 of domestic violence is ever reported to law enforcement. So when we see numbers like this, what that picture tells me is that we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg.
If you are experiencing domestic violence, you can call DASA's helpline at 608-251-4445.
The arraignment date for New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft has changed now. He faces 2 counts of soliciting prostitution in Palm Beach County, Florida. His arraignment will now take place a month from now, the morning of Wednesday, March 27th. Kraft was charged as part of a months-long investigation into sex trafficking that focused on several Central Florida day spas and massage parlors. The city of Sun Prairie will discuss an anti-bullying ordinance at a meeting next week. It would allow police officers to actually issue citations for any form of bullying. It applies to any harassment that is physical, verbal, even online. Sun Prairie parents who support the ordinance say they want a way to hold other parents accountable if their children bully other students. A spokesperson for the district says administrators haven't taken a stance on the ordinance yet. It will be discussed during the Youth and Family Commission next Thursday.
Sully the dog is starting a new job. The Labrador Retriever is best known for being the service dog for former President George H.W. Bush. The Walter Reed National Military Medical Center welcomed him aboard today to serve in its facility dog program. His duties will be a bit lighter than what he had for the president. Sully's main job will be interacting with patients to help reduce their stress.
If only my yellow lab could behave like Sully. Gary Canalti joining us now with a look at the forecast.
Well, you can bring your yellow lab over to the weather office to reduce our stress with the weather that's been going on for the last month or so.
You would add to it, Gary.
Yeah, yes, you would.
Well, I'll have to bring Joe with it. Now, it's cold out there, and at least we're not adding any snow tonight. We had some light snow this morning and even some freezing drizzle mix, and that's all shifted off to the east. Now some lake effect snow showers downwind from Lake Michigan, but out to the west, things are pretty quiet. Might see a couple of flurries of snow, maybe from this little batch of precipitation trying to develop out in western Iowa. That'll be in here tomorrow afternoon. We have snow in the forecast, though, for Friday afternoon into Friday night. Not a big storm, probably about a 1 to 3 inch range through much of Wisconsin, maybe a little swath of 2 to 5 inches from central Wisconsin back westward into southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. But the big problem is going to be the cold air after that. We have alert days in the forecast for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Low temperatures Sunday morning near 5 below zero, near 10 below zero for Monday and Tuesday morning with wind chills perhaps as cold as 25 to 30 below zero. Daytime high temperatures only in the single digits above zero for Sunday and Monday, and in the mid-teens for Tuesday. Wind chills on those days will stay below zero all day. Take a look at wind chill future track. This is beginning Sunday morning at 7 a.m., showing wind chills about 20 to 30 below zero through much of southern Wisconsin. Even during the day, this is Sunday afternoon, 3:30, wind chills around 10 below zero. Look what happens by Monday morning. It's predicting wind chills down to 30 to 40 below zero over southern Wisconsin. That's almost dangerously cold. Wind chills during the day on Monday, only in the teens below zero. Again, by early on Tuesday morning, temperatures perhaps even a little colder. Wind chills perhaps down to 30 to 35 below zero. That's just, again, just way too cold for the beginning of March. And during the day on Tuesday, those wind chills in the single digits below zero. Even by Wednesday morning, those wind chills down to about 25 below zero, but after that, things should improve. The live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison, it's cold out there, but there's not much of a breeze, so it's a little more tolerable cold. High today, 19. The low temperature is actually the current reading of 8. We were down to 11 early this morning, but with the air being calm, there's no wind chill to speak of. Parade of weather systems continue in the Pacific Ocean. This one just northeast of the Hawaiian Islands will head toward the west coast where they've been getting pounded with heavy rains and mountain snows. Here in our part of the Midwest, things a little more quiet. These weather systems coming through don't have a lot of moisture with them, but are bringing just some light periods of snow. And temperatures right now, very cold. You can see single digits and teens, but notice how that corresponds with the snow that's on the ground. So where there's snow, that's where the cold is, and unfortunately, we've still got a lot of snow on the ground. Look for partly cloudy skies overnight, very cold, low dropping to zero. Might be able to see the northern lights in spots up to the north if you're away from the city lights. High tomorrow, 22 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. Could see a couple of flurries pop up in the afternoon. On future track, again, those temperatures dropping to around zero by tomorrow morning. There'll be a little more cloud cover later on. Tomorrow, maybe enough clouds to generate a couple of flurries. Tomorrow night, we're back down to the single digits, and then on Friday, the snow comes in the afternoon, continues into Friday night, about 1 to 3 inches through much of southern Wisconsin, maybe a little more north and west of the Dells. 10-day forecast, bitterly cold by the end of the weekend. There'll be some chances for some light snow on Thursday, and then perhaps another stronger storm system toward the following week with a mixture of rain, freezing rain, and snow, and high temperatures around 30 degrees.
Yeah, so something new and different.
Yeah, just, make it a little more interesting in the weather office.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. UW quarterback Alex Hornibrook. He'll get his degree in May, and then we'll move on to play football elsewhere. The story coming up in sports.
Quarterback Alex Hornibrook has entered the NCAA transfer portal and won't play for the Badgers anymore. Hornibrook has been the Badgers' starting quarterback for the majority of the last 3 seasons, but figured to face stiff competition from Jack Cohn and newcomer Graham Mertz. Hornibrook missed the last 5 games of last season with concussion symptoms. He'll get his degree in business in May, then be eligible to play somewhere else right away next fall. The Big Ten suspended Iowa head coach Fran McCaffrey for 2 games for yelling at a referee after Iowa's lost to Ohio State last night, so McCaffrey will miss the game against Wisconsin next week. The Badgers host Penn State Saturday, and Badgers beware. Penn State shocked 17th-ranked Maryland 78-61 tonight. Don't look now, but Penn State has won 5 of its last 7 and 3 in a row. And that Maryland loss kept the Badgers just a half game out of 4th in the Big Ten, and Villanova has just beaten Marquette. Eau Claire North Sam Stang, a Wisconsin Badger recruit, is named Mr. Hockey as the top high school player in the state. And Wauwatosa East Parker Eswine is named the second recipient of the Jeff Sauer Award for his contributions on and off the ice. The state boys hockey tournament begins tomorrow at Alliant Energy Center. Verona is back for the second straight year. The Wildcats face Eau Claire North in the quarterfinals at 12:15 tomorrow afternoon. The Capital City Cougars girls team is also at state. They'll play in the girls semifinals Friday at 10. Last weekend at the Kohl Center, the Stoughton wrestling team had 2 individual state champions, but this week it's a different goal as Stoughton looks for its second straight state team title.
The guys really have embraced the challenge of being the chase this year for what it's worth. You know, going back to back is very difficult, and I think this team really wanted to step up and find a way to outdo last year's team, and they've rose to the challenge.
There's definitely a drive to achieve that goal. And it's almost like an expectation. It's kind of what we're looking for.
All it is hard work, pushing your partners every day and having good coaches to take you to the next level is all it really takes, I guess.
Nothing's really surprised us with this group from a perspective that they're so talented and they work so hard. We had such high expectations. I guess if anything, they've probably surprised a lot of people in how some of the younger guys have really stepped up to the challenge of being at the same level of some of these upperclassmen who had already been there and done that.
I feel like we're still working just as hard. It's pretty important for the team to get that title this year.
You always have someone telling you can't do something, and I think that drives a lot of us to be our best.
I'm going to wrestle each match the same. I'm going to warm up the same, and no matter if it's a newer opponent or someone with a lot of experience, I'm going to warm up the same and get ready the same mentally.
We've made the finals 4 years in a row now, and we were able to win it last year, and we just hope we can continue with that success.
Baseball, the Brewers host Cleveland. Here's a look into the Brewers' future. Corey Ray was the 5th overall pick in the 2016 draft, and he hits a long home run today. Still might be a year or 2 away, but Corey Ray is coming. That homer is all the Brewers get today, losing 6-1. And we'll be right back.
Temperatures are already in the single digits, be down to around 0 by morning. Look for highs in the 20s, some light snow Friday afternoon, Friday night, and then even colder weather early part of next week.
Gary, thank you. And thank you for joining us for News 3 now at 10.
Do something good, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.